Hello everybody, it's Riff Raff Hornhelm, and I'm back again with another presentation from the Dwarven Vault. And today, we have another monster review, and this time, it's the, well, perhaps less than dreaded Goblin. Now once again, every one of these reviews are focusing on low-level or entry-level creatures that are primarily subterranean, that you would encounter in an early dungeon from the days of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. These all come from the original Monster Manual, and of course, they've changed quite a bit over the years. Now, we've already had discussions about orcs and kobolds, and goblins are one of the other subterranean creatures that are actually very similar to the rest, in the sense that they're all low level, they don't do very much damage. They're generally, well, not generally, they are all one hit dice or less creatures. Now, in the case of the goblin, it's one hit dice and it's -1. Now, it can't go below 1, but it can definitely be less than a full passel of hit points. And that slots it in between the kobold, which has a maximum of 4 hit points, and the orc, which is a full hit die. So, in this particular case, the goblin is somewhat interchangeable with the orc. Its principal enemy is, of course, the dwarves. Also dislikes gnomes, the whole rest of it. They're also somebody that hates most life. They don't hate all life, and they're evil. They're not very smart, lower than average intelligence, and they are not known for some of the things that they're known for later in the life of these creature types over time. Now, really, the goblin is another one that is successful when it's able to attack as a pack. I believe they actually move in pretty large groups, like 40 to 400 or something like that. They don't have a very low armor class, so they're easy to hit, and they don't have very many hit points. In terms of the ability to use them to forward your plot, they're a bit better or easier to use than something like a kobold, but not necessarily as good as maybe an orc. We're talking degrees of difference here, and the degree of difference is not very much between a goblin and an orc. Now, goblins, as originally portrayed, were kind of a orangish, brownish color, and shorter than an orc, but taller than a kobold. So in this particular case, you're usually talking about 3 to 4 feet tall for a goblin, as opposed to like 4 to 5 feet tall for an orc. Not the way it is in today's 5e, but this is once again the original Advanced Dungeons and Dragons from the original Monster Manual. So all of these things have morphed a great deal, and goblins as a class now in D&D are able to be a character. They're generally known for having the ability to be artificers and somewhat clever compared to the way they're portrayed in the original Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. From a DM's view, goblins are a short encounter because generally they're easy to kill, a lot of them at once. They don't do very much damage. There's no pluses to their damage. It's by weapon type. So, and because they use minimal armor, once again, it's just not hard to get rid of them. So, from a DM's perspective, a goblin probably ranks about a 1 to 1.5 at best. And really, from a player's perspective, they don't really disagree. They don't see a lot of difference between the orcs and the goblins, other than the orcs are usually more twisted evil, I guess, than the goblins are. But these are not happy creatures, any of them. They really like to go after things that are good. They are rapacious and evil creatures. There's no two ways about it. Now, goblins on occasion do live up on the surface. They're not as single-minded about being underground as the orcs are, but the vast majority, we're talking like 90% of goblins, at least within the context of the original game, did live underground. So really, once again, I mean, from a DM's perspective, maybe a 1.5. From a player's perspective, about the same. Maybe a 2, I guess, if you run into some of the higher level chieftain goblins, or goblins mixed in with hobgoblins, but that's a subject for a different video. And really, you're not going to run into too much difficulty. Once again, these help to help your party to gain confidence and to hone their battle skills against an easy opponent. And that's really what it is. Although, if you do things right, they can also be extremely amusing and involve a fair amount of funny stuff as well, even if your players don't roll 1 somewhere in the process. Well, what was I thinking? Okay, never mind. Any case, that's the view of the goblin. Nothing special. Very easy. Watch out for them in large groups. It's not that they can't kill a party, but if you get killed by a goblin or a kobold, I mean, really, you should be embarrassed. Hope you enjoyed today's presentation. If you did, please leave us a like, consider subscribing, but most of all, come back and see us again at some point. And remember, dwarves rock!